All right, 10.2, regression. So we're going to use a little bit of what we've learned in the past as far as plotting points and doing a scatter plot. Once you do a scatter plot, we're going to try to draw a line between the dots where the straight line fits best. It's called the best fit line. So let's take a look at this 10.2. Give me a second. There we go. All right, so we are going to, let's just look at the word correlation because I'm going to talk about that today. It's a statistical method used to determine whether a linear relationship, linear means straight line, exists. So we're going to look at a number, and the number is going to tell us if our data fits a straight line, or how close to a straight line will the data fit. So we're going to call this thing the correlation coefficient. And the symbol for correlation coefficient is R, the letter R. And that's going to tell us, once again, we'll get to that. It's going to tell us how straight our data is. The independent variable is usually the X values on a graph. When you have a graph, you have the X values and the Y values. X values are normally horizontal, the Y values are vertical. The independent variable is usually the X value, and the dependent variable are the Y values. So that should be a Y. Independent, the X values, dependent, the Y values. Depending on what the X value is, will tell you what the Y value is. Okay. And if we can draw this line, we can predict future events. And that's, I think, part of our homework, predicting a future event. So here's the first problem we're going to do on our calculator. We're going to create a scatter plot, which we did at the very beginning of the course. If you remember, these are going to be our X values, and these are going to be our Y values. In other words, we're going to type all these into L1 of our calculator, and type all these into L2 of our calculator. So let's do that first. We're going to type in L1 and L2 of our calculator. Remember how to get to L1 and L2. You just hit the stat button, stat number 1. And you have L1 and L2. I'm going to clear L1 and clear L2. I had stuff in there. And in L1, I'm typing in 63, 29, 20.8, 19.1, 13.4. Don't forget to hit enter after every number you type in. Then I'm going over to L2, 7, 3.9, 2.1, 2.8, 1.4, and 1.5. So we're going to type all of that in, and then I'm going to show you on my calculator. Once, if anybody wants to follow along, type that into L1 and L2. I'll give you a second, and then I'll go to my calculator. right? I think I'll go to my calculator now. And I typed, oh, don't forget to type it in. You hit stat number 1 edit and typed all my data into L1 and L2. Now we are going to do a scatter plot. If you remember how to do a scatter plot, the scatter plot was right above here, right above this y equals. So we have to hit second scatter plot. And number 1, we have to turn it on. Okay, just hit enter and turn it on. So if you remember, we did at the beginning of the class. And the scatter plot, we have to go and we have to highlight this graph right there. So I'm arrowing over, over, down, over. It's highlighted when I hit enter. And now my scatter plot is on. And once again, list 1 is the X value, list 2 is the Y value. I'm going to mark it with a dot. And before I hit, well, I can go to the graph right now, and I don't get a very good graph because my window doesn't match the data. So let's go back. I'm going back to the data. And the X value, remember the highest X values was 63. So I'm going to do my window from 0 to 65, just so 63 is in there. You're always going to do a little bit more. My Y values, it goes from like 1 to 7. So I'm going to go 0 to 10 on my Y values. So 0 to 65, you can even go 70. It might be easier for you to go 0, 70 on the X values and 0 to 10 on the Y values. 0 to 70, X, and 0 to 10 on the Ys. So when I go to my window, the X values are from 0 to 10. Or wait, I said 0 to 70. I said 70, there we go. And then I'm going to go to the Y values 0 to 10. Now when I hit graph, I should see, I'm not sure why I have it connected. Did I push the right one in here? Oh, the scatter plot was the first one, not the second one. I'm sorry. Wait. It was the first one. The second one connects all the dots. So now when I graph, there we go. There's our dots. So the scatter plot was the first one, not the second one. The second one connects each of the dots. Okay, so what we're trying to do, so we should know how to do that scatter plot, or I should know, since I got it wrong at first. It's not letting me write on it. I want to find a straight line that matches inside this data. I need to find a straight line that matches inside this data. Okay, that's what we're going to try to do. It's called a regression line. And then this whole section is called regression. And I want to find the straight line that matches inside this data. So I'm going to take my calculator out. And trying to figure out how to do it. Okay, I have it. We got to go to stat, calculate, number 8. So let me write this down. I'm going to write the steps down over here on this. So regression line. The steps are first type data into L1 and L2. These are the X values. These are the Y values. Then second, Y equals, which is stat plot. And turn on plot 1. Make sure you use the first graph, which looks like this, something like that. Step 3, go to your window to match the X values and the Y values. Remember, you want to go a little bit more than your highest X value and a little bit more than your highest Y value. Once we do that, we go to stat. You will have to do this on the test and the final, by the way. Stat calculate and go down to number 8. Stat calculate and go all the way down to number 8. Number 8 says linear regression. There's another linear regression 4, but we do number 8 because that's the way the book does it. And this is the equation A plus BX. So this is A and this is B. So we're going to do number 8. And it's going to tell us what A and B is. It will tell us what A and B is. Okay, there's one more thing it's going to tell us, but my calculator doesn't, by the way, I mean, it shows me now, we have to turn linear regression on. So I'm going to stop sharing this for a second.